Thank you, Mr. Chair. And, kind of leading off on my last line of questioning with the minister in the last round, he said that in regards to the Bayevitz decision requiring judicial authorizations for IP addresses, that it was an unfair allegory for me to make, that it was kind of like asking for a search warrant to look in the phone book. In fact, it's actually worse than that. Because imagine a phone book where there was phone numbers listed, but there were no names listed. The only names that are being listed are the ISPs, the telecom companies that service those phone numbers, the Teluses, the Rogers, the Bells. So police are being told now that they can't even look into that phone book of those IP addresses. They can't even know who the service providers are unless they have a warrant. And the effect of this, according to frontline RCMP officers who are working in the integrated child exploitation units across this country in the past month since this decision has come in, is that telecommunications companies, in compliance with the Supreme Court of Canada decision, are now denying this critical information that police are using to track down and prosecute child sex offenders, child predators. Commissioner Duhem, can you provide us with some more context on the impact that this decision has had on the RCMP integrated child exploitation units in the last month?
So thank you for the question, Mr. Chair. And we were a little bit surprised with the decision that came by. And at this point in time, a decision was rendered 3 weeks ago. I've asked throughout the country to monitor any impacts on our operations. And I don't have the numbers just yet because it's relatively fresh. We'd be more than happy to come back to the committee. I think it's important to note that although we were focused on children, which is extremely important, I'm looking at it much broader. I'm looking at threats to elected officials, threats to individuals and whatnot. So it's a little early. We've been through other cases like Stitchcomb. When Stitchcomb came in, we had to readjust. Our concern is just we want to make sure that there's no additional delays, and we're monitoring that right now. But I don't have the total impact right now as to the impacts on the operation.
Thank you. And a very good point that you've made is that, of course, the issue of protecting children is of paramount importance. But this decision is not just impacting child predator investigations. This is about threats against elected officials. In the case of Bayevitz itself is about a case of fraud involving stolen credit cards. This is a groundbreaking decision. And I must say it was not a clear majority, like it was a majority of the Supreme Court, but it was a 5-4 decision. And the dissenting judges, in their own words, said that this decision would, in their words, quote, seriously thwart the police's ability to investigate such serious offenses against children. They also said later down that it would exacerbate the existing challenges faced by the criminal justice system. Commissioner Duhem, we know that our police are overwhelmed with the tasks that we have given them. They're overwhelmed by the paperwork requirements that are required for them. Can you tell us what the impact is of having to get search warrants every time they get an IP address, say, from the FBI? Because we know that it's our international allies who are providing us with this information. There was a case in my own area, in the greater Edmonton area, where a mother was allegedly putting up videos of their own child. And it was because of a conviction and investigation in California that led to the procurement of those IP addresses, which were given to our integrated child exploitation units, which allowed them to rescue that child from that situation. And under this decision, those IP addresses would arguably be inadmissible in a case. This is a devastating blow for child protection in our country. Can you tell us what these paperwork requirements, these new administrative requirements, are going to do to investigations? Thank you.
So, Mr. Chair, the impact is not only felt in the RCMP, but it's also felt by my colleague, Mr. David Vigneault from CSIS. But again, the decision was rendered in 3 weeks. I don't have the number of files that took place in the last 3 weeks that incurred delays, but from an organization's perspective, we are monitoring as to what is the impact on our current operations. I think I kind of know what the impacts are, but I want some metrics to make sure that we can come forward with a proposal to the minister as we move forward.